Hi, everyone. This is Jeff Clark of the Paydirt Prospector newsletter. Thanks for joining me here in beautiful Vancouver, BC for the Metals Investor Forum. I have today the CEO of Erdene Resources, Peter Akerley. Akerley, thanks for joining me, Peter.
Glad to be here, Jeff. Great conference, great turnout.
It is. The turnout has been very good, hasn't it? Well, there's lots to talk about what's going on with the company.
Sure is.
We only have 10 minutes, but real quick, just give us a real quick 30-second background on who Peter Akerley is, emphasizing maybe some of the successes you've had in your career.
Sure. Well, I've worked as a geologist since I graduated in 1988, and I worked around the world, South America, Asia, obviously, throughout North America. Much of that early time was spent with the Rio Tinto Industrial Specialty Minerals Group, and we looked at projects throughout North America. Some of those were brought into production ultimately in the southeastern U.S. Subsequent to that, I spent a lot of time in the gold and copper, porphyry and epithermal exploration in Guyana, and then ultimately found my way to Mongolia with a group out of Toronto. We joint ventured with Barrick in 1997, 1998 as one of the first companies active in Mongolia when they opened up from socialism. And that was about a 3-year window where I got my Country 101 course on Mongolia and saw the opportunity. And when the industry kind of slowed in 98 through 2001, I talked to everybody I possibly could about this is the place where I want to start a company. This is the opportunity, the right rocks, great belt of rocks, limited geology, limited exploration,
Yes.
and a country that was opening up to foreign investors, a new mining law. So we had the benefit of Robert Friedland screaming from the treetops at mid-2001 and raising hundreds of millions of dollars. And here we were with an opportunity to put together a package of properties, bring in investors, and we launched privately in 2002, public in 2004 on the heels of that. So we really launched into the opportunity in Mongolia right out of the gate as people started to recognize it on the map. But I'd say what we did differently than others perhaps is we, from the very start, focused on good scientific regional approach to exploration. And we didn't, you can go pick up a property, an old property, and turn it over a couple of times, but we wanted something unique. We were in this belt. I wanted a high grade and or large scale deposit. They were out there. I knew we'd seen what Oyu Tolgoi was becoming.
Yeah.
And here's this great belt that outside of the borders of Mongolia has these huge deposits, and they're certain to be there. So it was just, put your head down, let's go do good work. And we started with the Zun Mod project, which is today a giant molybdenum copper porphyry deposit we drilled off. 35 kilometers west of that, we discovered Altan Nar in 2011, which is a 500,000 ounce deposit that hasn't had much attention. And then in 2015, we discovered Bayan Hyundai when we walked out there prospecting and picked up 4,000 gram samples.
Yeah,
And,
wow.
To back this up a little bit, talking about the science, it was in 2010, 2011, we said, we're going to do a very large scale regional program over a 400 kilometer belt. And we used, first off, satellite imagery. And we were one of the first in the country to do good interpretation of that work, identifying clay anomalies that allowed us to focus in on that 400 kilometers. Then we went in and did geochem and geophysics that allowed us to tighten it up, discover Altan Nar, and then discover Bayan Hyundai. But, these systems are very large, all three of them. They're multi-kilometer systems, a lot of juice, limited exploration, high grades, and lots more to do. So, I just continually get more excited about the exploration potential.
I mean, every news release that comes out, I see more high-grade results, more progress toward, and let's talk about beginning production here.
Absolutely.
Later this year.
Yeah. So we're 70% complete. I think we're 69.8 today, but I'll round it up. We're making good progress. I was a little concerned as we moved into the winter months. It's minus 20 thereabouts, and I thought that might slow things down, but making good progress. Our expectation is that we begin to wind up the construction as we move out of first quarter into second quarter. We'll see commissioning take place. And we just actually successfully commissioned our integrated waste facility. That's the first major item that's been through the government regulatory process. But we'll go through the rest of that through Q2. At the end of Q2, we would expect to have that final permit issued, and we would begin to put ore through the plant as we move into Q3, get the kinks out, and then by late Q3 would be in commercial production, hitting I think year one is 67,000 ounces to get us as we kind of ramp up to that 4 gram per ton head grade. And then we'll hit 87,000 ounces annually thereafter. You know, people say short mine life, 6 years, but you've seen the pipeline of opportunities we have.
Yeah, it's
and I have no lack of confidence in saying this mine will continue indefinitely based on what we see in front of us today. Maybe there'll be an expansion, maybe there'll be a second mine, but we're going to have the wherewithal financially of $120 million in after-tax cash flow that's spitting out of this at these gold prices. Let's hope they continue. That allows us to do all of the exploration that we need to do, pay back our debt quickly, and then ideally start to reward shareholders with some of that through dividends or share buybacks or whatever we decide to do at that point. So, yeah, exciting times for us. You know, we're seeing production. We have fully funded $170 million available to us, and a pipeline that's just jammed full of opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Real quick, Mongolia, some people are unaware, some people may be nervous about it, but tell us why they should not be nervous about it, especially your arrangement and the partnerships you have.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. You know, Mongolia doesn't get a lot of attention because there's not a lot of companies working there. And so, you know, in the past, there was a long negotiation between Rio and the government, which tended to prove negative in the press. I think it was negotiated in the press. And that seemed to have hung around for a while. But today, you have the 4th largest copper mine on the planet by the end of this decade. Rio Tinto's put $15 billion into this project.
Wow.
Last week, you had the French government announce a deal with the Mongolian government to have Erdene build the 6th largest uranium mine on the planet, $1.6 billion. So you're starting to see these mega projects get teeth, and that plays out well for the rest of the industry because it brings infrastructure, it brings expertise, it modernizes the workforce. So those are all benefits for us. When we look to build Bayan Hyundai, we knew we weren't miners. We hadn't built mines before. We're explorers and we're good at it. But we recognized that deficiency and we sought out partnerships, and we had international mining companies, large international mining companies on site, some multiple times.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, we selected MMC as our partner because they didn't only bring the dollars and they didn't only bring expertise, they brought national relationships. They brought national credibility and respect. And quite frankly, I'd like to see a Mongolian champion arise out of this.
Yeah,
I've been there for 20 years.
And just to be clear, that's the Mongolian Mining Corporation.
Exactly, yeah. So Mongolian Mining Corporation, listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, about $1 billion market cap, 2,000 miners working on 2 steel-making coal enterprises in the southern part of the country, wanted to diversify into copper and gold, looked at all of the opportunities in Mongolia. We'd known each other for quite some time and selected us as the right partner as we selected them.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a marriage of equals in a way that we bring that exploration strength and they bring that operating national contacts and construction experience. So yeah, very pleased with the way that came out, and that reduces the risk as well. You know, when you talk about working in any developing country as an explorer, it's very hard to make that leap from exploration company to miner. So we satisfied that, reduced that risk through that partnership.
For 2025, you've got a dual prong thing going. You're going to get into production, but you're also going to be drilling and exploring, right?
Exactly, yeah. So what we've been focused on recently is the exploration in and around the economic pit. So doing the infill drilling, but because we've seen the increased gold price, we wanted to step outside the pit boundaries where we'd known we had a resource area, but it was under about 80 meters of cover, not very high grade. So we infilled that, but we also stepped out on it. And we intersected in October, we announced, the highest grades we've ever intersected outside of the pit. 40 meters of 7 grams of gold within 150 meters of surface. And some of those intersections, I think we had 20 meters of 6 grams outside of the previously deemed resource area. So it's just a testament to how much bigger this can get. And these are extremely high grades at surface. So we're doing 13,000 meters of shallow drilling to define the first 6 months of development as well.
Wow, that's great. Very exciting. So a lot of catalysts in store for 2025 for this company. I own the stock. I'm overweight the stock. I think this is one that's going to go. You want to get in pretty quickly if you're interested in this story. Peter, thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching here at the Metals Investor Forum.
Thank you, Jeff.